Hi everyone, welcome back. Today's video is part of a new series I'm starting on Poundland hacks, taking everyday items sold in Poundland and transforming them into cute crafts and home decor. So if you want to see how I created a moon Dreamcatcher for just £2.50, then just keep on watching. From Poundland you will need a girl's headband and some £1.50 knitting yarn. Feathers and beads to decorate are optional. First of all, let's get everything out of the packaging, and you want to try and pick up one of these star headbands because we can use the stars in another DIY craft later on. Start by pulling the headband apart and using some heavy duty pliers to just pop off the stars. Two of them are a little bit tough, but they're pretty easy just to pop off. You can always reshape the wire with the pliers if necessary. Then just use your hands to pull the headband apart into a more of a moon shape. Use cutters or just wiggle the wire backwards and forwards to cut apart some of the wire to make it slightly shorter into a moon shape. Once I did this, I just tucked the new end into the place where I'd pulled out the old one, and you can close it with the wire clippers, and I held mine in place with a little bit of tape just to make sure it stayed secure. Masking tape's fine, as we'll be going over this with the yarn in a minute anyway. Take your Poundland yarn and pull off a little small ball so it's easier to thread through the moon shape. Now we're going to start wrapping the yarn all the way around the framework that we've just made. So I just wanted to give a small disclaimer. This is not a professional macrame tutorial, and it's not an official Dreamcatcher tutorial. This is just simply how I made a moon Dreamcatcher using Poundie products. There's my youngest getting involved, doing his own little macrame. Bless.
You're the night sky trying to make me see your stars, but the dark gets lonely. Now I see violet, I can feel silence. In the dark's all that I see. When your stars have burnt out and your heart makes no sound, I'll find violet in your eyes. You'll always be my night sky.
Then lastly I wrap the corner and cut the thread and put a little dot of glue just to hold it in place. Next I just took an ordinary white needle and thread and tied it in a knot around the framework. So before I started, I watched a tutorial online of how to create a Dreamcatcher, and what they did was a loop type blanket stitch all the way around the edge of the framework. So I just transferred what I saw from a circular design to a moon design and just did a basic loopy blanket stitch all the way around the edge of the framework. I'll put links to the videos in the description. You can see a little easier here, the loop stitch that I'm talking about. It's just a little bit hard to describe.
You're the night sky, trying to make me see your stars. But the dark gets lonely. Now I see
Here I've managed to show a little bit of a closer up on the stitch I'm talking about.
in the dark's all that I see. When your stars have burnt out and your heart makes no sound, I'll find valid in your eyes. You'll always be my night sky. You'll always be my night sky. You'll always be my night sky. You're the night sky, hiding behind dark gray clouds. I can't figure you out now. I see your blue. There is so much cold in you, and the silence is so loud when you go. I just stay dancing with my shadow all day. Watch the tide. I can't find the point where our two paths align. But you're the night sky. I'm trying to see your stars, but I've always feared the dark. Now I see violet. I can feel your silence. You always feel so far when your stars have burnt out and your heart makes no sound. I'll find valid in your eyes. You'll always be my night sky. You'll always be my night sky.
For this next step, I tied on a new piece of thread, and the idea is not to make the thread too long, else it gets really caught up and knotted. Now each time you go round, you're just popping the needle through each of the loops that you've created and then moving on to the next piece. It creates like a kind of spider's web. As I progress more around the framework, you'll see exactly what I mean. I'll be able to pull out the stitching a little bit more and you'll be able to see where I'm popping the needle. Now you can see a little better the startings of the design, and just carry that on all the way round the framework. I went twice all the way round the outside first of all, and then because this is a moon shape and not a circle, once I reached the corner I went back on myself. Rather than travelling round, I went back the way I came. I'll show you when we get to that stage. So here's what I've got so far, and I've just been going backwards and forwards along the outer edge of the moon design. When I get back to the corners of the moon, I pick up a couple of stitches from the short side crescent of the moon, just to tie that in with the design as we keep going backwards and forwards, and the design keeps getting shorter and shorter, just to make sure that we're fixed onto the other half of the crescent moon as well. So every time I'm taking my needle and I'm popping it through the little triangle that I've created on the very last row of stitches that I've done as I go across. Every time into the next little triangle, needle going front to back through the Dreamcatcher. So I'm continuing that all the way along and continuing to pick up stitches at each of the ends. We are almost done the design, so I'm just starting to secure it to the edge pieces of the moon there just to keep it in place. Once finished, I just tie a knot at the edge and cut off the thread. The first part's all done. This part took me about an hour. Next I'm doing the tassely thread bits and decorations, and I'm using some feathers and beads. You can pick these up outside anywhere like I did, just make sure to give them a good clean off. There's also some beads I picked up from Amazon and some beads I already had. Beads and feathers and the tassely tail bits are optional, so you don't have to do these bits if you don't want to. But you could always add some of the feathers and beads onto the Dreamcatcher part. So I'm just laying out the yarn in long threads and gluing them onto the bottom of the Dreamcatcher. Once that part was all done, I decided to watch a tutorial on doing a little bit of a macrame decorative piece down the front and decided to add on some beads and the feathers. I'll list the video below which I watched for this. This part was super fiddly just using the yarn for this, and I really think the thicker macrame cord makes it much easier. And this is how it turned out. Now I'm just adding on a few beads by threading them on and then tying a knot. I thought the really tiny beads may look really nice threading them on whilst doing the Dreamcatcher threads. Next I used the feathers that I just picked up, gave them a good clean and stuck them up into the little beads. Lastly, I used some scissors to trim and shape the bottom of the threads. And there we have it, £2.50 Poundland items. So don't forget to leave me a comment, let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you're going to give this one a try, and if you got value out of this video then please give me a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe if you want to see more from the Poundland Hack series, and I'll see you guys all again soon. Thanks for watching, bye.